My sister-in-law, Mia, told my husband, Ethan, and me that she wanted to go to Thunder God Mountain to photograph lightning. I gently advised her, explaining the dangers and trying to persuade her to stay away from the mountain. The result? The very next day, a lightning goddess quickly shot to online fame. Mia blamed me for stopping her. The next time we went up the mountain, she deliberately left me behind, causing me to die of hypothermia. Reborn once more, I am now sitting in the back seat, listening to Mia cheerfully describe how to take beautiful lightning photos. This time, let her face her own tribulation. Brother, brother, which outfit should I choose? The metallic set or the fairy dress? As long as Mia was in the car, she always occupied the front passenger seat. When Ethan and I, his wife, first got married, Mia had already staked her claim. This spot is mine forever. Even a sister-in-law isn't allowed here. I was too lazy to argue with a mere child, though this child was 25 years old, a college graduate living off her parents. But everyone in the family insisted she was just a child. How could I possibly argue with her? I silently watched Ethan seriously analyze the pros and cons of the two outfits for her, while slowly processing the shock of being reborn. Yes, I had been reborn. In my previous life, I also went to Thunder God Mountain with them. It was on the way there that Mia first proposed climbing to the peak to photograph lightning. This was a new trending activity. Thunder God Mountain was named so because of its unique characteristic. Sometimes, even on clear days, lightning would strike. The lightning striking the peak was a majestic sight. A few days prior, some young men in Hanfu had climbed the peak to take photos and accidentally captured a lightning strike. In the photo, a man in a flying fish robe stood with his arms spread wide, the lightning bolts appearing like wings, ready to lift him into the sky. The photo instantly went viral, attracting countless people. Local tourism authorities had repeatedly issued warnings, but no one listened. Even when the tourist area blocked the roads, it couldn't deter their determination. My sister-in-law, Mia, was one of them. Initially, she only said she wanted to visit the open tourist area. How could Ethan refuse? He happily drove us there. I never expected that halfway up the mountain, Mia would suddenly reveal her true purpose, frankly stating that she had already packed all the necessary clothes in the trunk. It was a situation where we couldn't not go. Getting struck by lightning on the peak is very dangerous. How about we don't take the risk? I cautiously advised. You can choke to death while eating or drown while drinking. Do you see yourself eating less or drinking less? Mia immediately became annoyed, turning back to glare at me. We'll just take a few photos and come back. Okay, Ethan? Ethan had always been like this, always compromising with Mia. No way, I've prepared everything. I won't stop until I get the perfect shot. Mia was adamant, clinging to Ethan's arm and pouting. On the winding mountain road, the car lurched, sending a chill down my spine. I knew I had to stop Mia, or the consequences would be dire. Thinking of this, a good idea struck me. To stop someone from jumping off a building, you just need to show them how horrific the body looks after the fall. I quickly searched for some gruesome images of people struck by lightning and sent them to Mia. After seeing them, she exclaimed in disgust, reluctantly agreeing to our terms. Take a few photos downstairs and then go home. That night we stayed in the tourist area. Ethan took Mia to a bar, while I stayed in the room, working overtime on a design. Suddenly, the door was slammed open and Mia stormed in, slapping me across the face, leaving my ear ringing. She had been disrespectful to me before, pushing and shoving, but Ethan always stopped her, saying she was just a child. But a slap to the face? That was a first. I instantly flared up, ready to retaliate, but Ethan rushed in and stopped me, complaining, "Yuan, just bear with it. Mia is angry for a reason. Look, it's all your fault. If we had gone up there yesterday, she would have been the one who got famous." He pulled out his phone and shoved it in my face. I took it and saw a hot topic: lightning goddess Clara born. Enlarging the photo, it was a girl in a fairy costume gracefully dancing on the peak of Thunder God Mountain. The wind billowed her skirt, and the lightning seemed to add layers of ethereal rain to her, beautiful to the point of unreality. If we had gone up the mountain yesterday, that would have been me. Look, is she as pretty as I am? Her nose even glows through, you can tell it's plastic surgery. This is natural beauty, Mom. I don't care, I'm going up the mountain tomorrow. We had originally planned to go home the next morning, but her tantrum changed our schedule. The next day, we headed up the mountain again, but halfway there, we were stopped by a guard who absolutely refused to let us pass. Mia had no choice but to turn back, sulking. On the way down, she deliberately dropped her watch outside the car, ordering me to pick it up. Not wanting to cause more conflict, I got out. To my shock, Ethan pressed the accelerator and drove off. It turned out Mia had forced him to punish me a little. Just like that, they left me alone on the mountain, forcing me to walk down by myself. I didn't have my phone, so I couldn't call for help. I didn't see a single soul along the way. Suddenly, dark clouds rolled in and heavy rain poured down. I was wearing a thin jacket and saw a house not far away, intending to take shelter. But I accidentally fell into a ravine and died of hypothermia. And my death, Mia claimed it was due to my capriciousness. She argued with my brother a few times and insisted on getting out of the car to walk home. My brother begged her, but she wouldn't get back in. I had severe sunstroke then, so my brother had to take me down the mountain first, planning to come back for her. Who knew something like that would happen? Mia cried tragically. An outsider would have thought it was true. The only ones truly heartbroken were my parents. They cried until their eyes were blind, unable to understand what their disobedient daughter, who had married into another family, had truly endured. Perhaps my resentment was too deep, for just like that, I was reborn. I'm not feeling well. Stop the car. You two go up by yourselves. I'm not going anymore. I stared at the checkpoint not far ahead, its red light shining like a lifeline. I quickly called out to Ethan. As long as I could get off the car at the checkpoint, explain the situation to the staff, there would be a way to get down the mountain. If those two siblings wanted to charge into a lightning strike zone, they could go by themselves. No way. If you leave, who will take pictures for me? Mia, like a cat whose tail had been stepped on, instantly bristled in the passenger seat, protesting vehemently. I purposely brought 3 outfits for changing, and I have auxiliary lights and reflectors. If you don't help me with these, who will? I let out a cold chuckle, my gaze sweeping over her self-righteous face. Isn't your brother's photography skill top-notch? Yesterday, you even posted a selfie he took of you on your social media, calling him the best brother and photographer in the world. So why is he suddenly not good enough now, at this important moment? Besides, every time you bring your cosmetics and jewelry, doesn't he always help you carry your bag? Something as small as taking photos, he can definitely do it. Mia's face flushed red at my words, but she couldn't find any fault in what I said. She could only stubbornly retort, he's good at taking pictures of people, not landscapes. You've won photography awards and you majored in graphic design. You understand composition, you understand light, so of course you have to be the one to take the pictures. Anyway, I said no means no. You're not going anywhere today. As she spoke, she reached out, intending to grab the gear stick next to the steering wheel, as if afraid Ethan would actually listen to me and stop the car. She wanted to lock the car herself. Ethan, in the driver's seat, coughed twice, trying to mediate. Yuan, just bear with it. Mia rarely cares about anything like this. She's a girl. Carrying so many things up the mountain isn't convenient, and she has to change clothes. Just help her take a few pictures, it'll be quick. I almost burst out laughing at his wishy-washy words. Quick. Taking pictures on a lightning-struck mountaintop is quick. Ethan, have you forgotten what the warning sign at the tourist area says? Staying on the peak during a thunderstorm is equivalent to suicide. If you want to go crazy with her, I won't stop you, but don't drag me to my death with you. Die? What's there to die about? You just don't want to see me succeed. Mia suddenly spun around, her upper body leaning into the back seat, her fingernails almost poking my face. I think you're just jealous. Jealous I'm younger than you, prettier than you. Jealous I can take famous photos. Are you wishing I'd get struck by lightning and die just so you'd be satisfied? Her shrill voice made my temples throb. In my previous life, she was exactly the same, always seeing others' kindness as malice, blaming every unsatisfactory thing on someone else's evil intentions. I was too tired to argue with her. I turned my face to the window, no longer wanting to look at her distorted face. Either stop the car and let me out, or you two go up the mountain by yourselves. I won't touch the camera once. You wouldn't dare? Mia suddenly shrieked, reaching to snatch my bag. Ethan, however, suddenly stepped on the accelerator and the car sped forward. Mia lost her balance and fell back into the passenger seat. I was also pushed back by the inertia, hitting the back of my seat. What are you doing? Mia roared, clutching her forehead. Ethan ignored her, only glancing at me in the rearview mirror, his eyes carrying a clear warning. We're almost past the checkpoint. Don't make trouble anymore. After taking the photos, I'll take you out for your favorite sour fish soup. The car indeed accelerated past the checkpoint. The figure of the staff waving to signal us to stop became increasingly distant. I watched the trees flash by outside the window, a cold dread slowly spreading in my heart. Mia triumphantly huffed, pulling out a small mirror from her bag to reapply her makeup, muttering, "At least you're sensible. Wait until I become a lightning goddess, then see if you dare to be so arrogant with me. By then, I'll be tired of you, and I'll find a more obedient sister-in-law." I clenched my fists, my heart constricted. Obedient? In my previous life, I was obedient enough, and in return, I was abandoned on the mountain to die. In this life, since they were so determined to rush headlong into their doom, then I would go along. But this time, the one who would pay the price would absolutely not be me. Mia continued to prattle on, planning her poses, sometimes saying she wanted to stand on a rock with her arms spread wide, sometimes saying she wanted to spin around with an old paper umbrella, as if the lightning on the mountaintop was her exclusive backdrop. Ethan occasionally chimed in with a few words, sometimes glancing at me in the rearview mirror. Seeing that I was no longer resisting, he felt relieved and continued driving. I leaned back against the seat, closing my eyes. The mountain road grew steeper, the clouds thicker. I could already smell the sharp, ozone scent of rain in the air. Good. This kind of weather was perfect for Mia's tribulation. As for me, I would simply be a silent spectator. The car drove to about 2 kilometers from the summit and could go no further. The mountain road ahead was half blocked by a landslide, barely wide enough for one person to squeeze through. Beside it was a deep, bottomless ravine. The wind carried the sound of small rocks tumbling down. "What is this?" Mia pushed open the car door, beginning to stomp her feet, pointing at the landslide with a disgusted expression. "Why can't this cursed place even fix its roads? What if my dress gets torn?" Ethan turned off the engine and went around to the trunk to retrieve their gear. "The tourist area has been closed for a long time. It's already good that we made it this far. We'll have to climb the rest of the way. Pack your things, I'll carry the heavy stuff for you," he said, then grabbed the suitcase containing the 3 outfits. Mia tossed the heaviest camera bag to me. Inside were a DSLR camera, a spare lens, and a heavy tripod, hitting my shoulder and almost making me stumble. In my previous life, it was the same. I carried everything, while the 2 siblings walked ahead empty-handed, laughing and chatting. Eventually, I was so exhausted I was barely human, without even the strength to resist. "Got it." I lowered my eyes, my voice as calm as still water. I bent down, put on the camera bag, then quietly took out all the snacks and the umbrella from my backpack, replacing them with 2 bottles of mineral water, a pack of energy bars, and a hand warmer from the car trunk. These were the things I had specifically asked Ethan to prepare yesterday. At the time, he had laughed at me for making a big deal out of nothing, saying there were vendors on the mountain. Mia was busy reapplying lipstick in her mirror, completely oblivious to my small actions. Ethan was explaining the mountain route to her. They whispered together, treating me like I was invisible, which was perfect. The less they noticed me, the more I could prepare at ease. "Let's go." Mia finished her makeup, put the mirror in her bag, and led the way up the mountain. She was wearing high-heeled boots, stumbling precariously on the rocky path but still trying to hold her head high, afraid of getting a speck of dust on her skirt. Ethan hurried to catch up and support her, muttering, "Go slowly, it's slippery." I walked about 2 meters behind them, taking each step carefully. The mountain path was harder to navigate than I remembered. Mia kept complaining about her feet hurting, taking all her frustrations out on Ethan. "It's all your fault. You insisted on coming today. Look, my shoes are all worn out." She took off her boot, pointing to a small scratch on the heel, her face pouting. Ethan quickly knelt down to examine it, even using a tissue to wipe off the mud from the sole. It's okay. I'll buy you a new pair when we get back. 10 pairs if you want. Just a little further, we're almost at the peak." I coldly watched the scene, taking out a bottle of water from my backpack's side pocket and taking a sip. I had deliberately left more than half of this bottle. Mia had thrown her thermos bottle in the car herself, saying it was inconvenient to carry. She'd drink it after taking photos and descending the mountain. We climbed a bit further. The clouds grew lower, the sky gradually darkened, and the wind carried a damp chill. Mia finally ran out of energy for her theatrics, leaning against a rock, panting, her face pale. "Brother, I'm thirsty." It was only then that Ethan remembered to look for water. He rummaged through his bag but realized he hadn't brought a water bottle. Yuan, did you bring any water? Give me some. I shook the water bottle in my hand. It's empty. When they weren't paying attention, I had poured the water into a backup bottle hidden in my backpack, leaving only an empty one for show. I drank it all. I was so thirsty on the way up. You know I get a dry mouth easily when walking. What's wrong with you? Mia immediately exploded, pointing at my nose and scolding. I told you to bring water, and not only did you not bring any, you drank it all yourself first. You did this on purpose, didn't you? You just don't want to see me succeed, do you? How was I supposed to know you'd be so thirsty? I shrugged, my face innocent. You didn't bring your own water bottle, and you won't let me drink my water. Should I just die of thirst? Mia was speechless, her eyes red-rimmed, tears starting to fall. She tugged on Ethan's arm, pouting, "Brother, look at her. She's doing this on purpose. I want water right now." Ethan frowned, looking at me with clear displeasure. "Yuan, how could you be like this? Mia is your sister-in-law, my sister. What's wrong with giving in to her a little?" "Give in to her?" I laughed, pointing at the steep mountain path she had run up on a rainy, stormy day. Give in to her wearing a dress on a rocky, landslide-prone road? Or give in to her dying of thirst here? Ethan, you need to understand clearly that she insisted on coming here to take risks. I didn't force her. My voice wasn't loud, but it carried an unprecedented coldness. Ethan was stunned by my words, perhaps not expecting me to suddenly resist. Mia, however, didn't care about any of that. Seeing Ethan not helping her, she lunged forward to snatch my backpack. "You definitely have water hidden. I'm going to search your bag." The moment her hand touched the backpack strap, I abruptly stepped back. The backpack hit a rock, making a dull thud. I had deliberately placed the compressed biscuits, thermos bottle, and hand warmers at the bottom of the backpack, covering them with camera equipment. With her long fingernails, she wouldn't be able to get them out. "Go ahead and search." I threw the backpack in front of her, my eyes coldly fixed on her. "If you don't find water, shouldn't you apologize to me?" Mia was intimidated by my presence, her hand halfway out before retracting. She could only grind her teeth and glare at me. Ethan sighed, pulling out half a piece of bread from his own backpack, left over from yesterday, and offered it to her. "Eat some bread for now. There's probably water for sale at the peak. We'll buy some there." "I don't want to eat, I want water." Mia threw the bread on the ground, stomping her feet like a child throwing a tantrum. "I don't care, I have to get my photos today. If I don't..." She fussed for a while, seeing no one paying attention, and finally fell silent, though her expression remained sour. Ethan helplessly pulled her, continuing uphill. I followed behind them, feeling the hard compressed biscuits in my backpack, a cold smile playing on my lips. Be thirsty, be hungry. Later, when you reach the peak, there will be even more surprises waiting for you. This time, I wouldn't stop her from taking lightning photos. I would just stand by and watch her face her tribulation. And the supplies in my bag were enough to sustain me until they faced the consequences themselves. In truth, I had known all along that, lightning goddess, photos couldn't actually be taken on the peak because they were all photoshopped. In my previous life, when she showed me the hot girl photo, I immediately spotted the anomalies. But when I told her, she refused to believe me. "You're talking nonsense. That photo looks so real, how could it be Photoshop? You're just jealous of her." Am I talking nonsense or not? See for yourself. I took out my phone and opened the photo analysis. The lightning's light effect has jagged edges. This is a typical sign of photo manipulation. The shadow length of the person and the angle of the sun don't match. It's clearly a composite. I studied design for 8 years. You think I can't spot such a small flaw? Ethan also leaned in to look, his brows gradually furrowing. "Yuan, is this real?" "Of course it is." I put away my phone. The local tourism bureau debunked the rumors long ago, but no one believed them. Those who ran to take lightning photos were either chased down by security or spent the entire day in the rain on the mountaintop, without capturing anything. "You're lying," Mia, like a cat whose tail had been stepped on, adamantly retorted. "You just don't want me to succeed? I don't care, I will get my photos. Even if it's Photoshop, I'll Photoshop it to be better than hers." Today, I would watch how she managed to do that. The wind on the mountaintop was stronger than halfway up, carrying damp mist that slapped against our faces. As I climbed up behind Ethan and Mia, my lungs felt like they were filled with lead, each breath a sharp pain. The scene before them shattered their last bit of hope. The so-called observation deck was merely a barren, rocky area with no trees around to shield from the wind. The supply counter, once rumored to be there, was now a hollow shell, its glass shattered, filled with rainwater and dry branches. Let alone staff selling water, not even a single bird was in sight. Ethan was the first to change color. He went to the supply counter, clinging to the door frame, looked inside, then walked around the observation deck, his voice filled with unconcealed panic. "What's going on? The internet said there was a temporary supply point here before." "You believe everything on the internet?" I leaned against a rock, out of the wind, gasping for breath, speaking with grim satisfaction. The tourist area closed this mountain a long time ago. Who would still be here in this lightning zone to guard a supply counter? Do you really think someone wants you to come take photos as a lightning goddess? Mia, however, completely dismissed the situation. She walked over the loose rocks to the center of the observation deck. Spreading her arms wide, she spun around, her skirt flapping in the wind. "No people? Even better. Less disturbance. Brother, quickly get my clothes. I want to change into the first outfit." She pointed at the suitcase in Ethan's hand, her tone clearly demanding. Ethan hesitated for a moment, looking at the gloomy sky, then at Mia's excited face. Finally, he dragged the suitcase behind a large rock. "Change quickly. Once you're changed, take photos fast. The weather doesn't look good." I know, you talk too much." Mia impatiently waved her hand and began changing behind the rock. Amidst the wind and her incessant complaints, she grumbled about the neckline being too tight, then cursed about her skirt getting dirty. It was as if this wasn't a mountaintop that could be struck by lightning at any moment, but her exclusive photoshoot studio. I sat still, pulling out the thermal underwear I had prepared from my backpack. When climbing, I had deliberately worn a loose jacket. Now, while they weren't paying attention, I quickly put on the thermal underwear underneath. The warm layers pressed against my body, slightly easing my strained nerves. In my previous life, it was precisely because I hadn't dressed warmly enough that I quickly succumbed to hypothermia when stranded. This life, I would absolutely not repeat that mistake. "Yuan, can you see if my hair is messy?" Mia, now fully made up in the fairy style, stepped out, spinning around. Her light purple chiffon dress billowed in the wind like a swirling cloud, but her carefully styled curly hair was disheveled by the wind. More than half of her makeup was smeared, making her look both pathetic and comical. Ethan, holding the camera, nodded repeatedly. "Beautiful, very beautiful, truly fairy-like," he said, then stepped back, looking for a good angle. "Stand on that large rock, there you go, that position. Try to capture the distant clouds." I watched Mia, wearing high heels, climb onto the rock, a cold sneer forming in my heart. She probably still thought she could dance amidst the lightning like in the photo, unaware that the real mountaintop only offered bone-chilling wind and lightning bolts that could strike at any moment. "Wait," I suddenly spoke up, pointing to the distant horizon. "Those dark clouds are rolling in, it might rain soon." Mia, who was posing, turned back and glared at me. "Rain is even better. With rain comes lightning. Stop saying unlucky things, don't ruin my photo shoot." Ethan also frowned. "Yuan, don't say such inauspicious things." He raised his camera, aimed at his sister-in-law. "Mia, smile naturally." The click of the shutter echoed in the wind, sounding utterly out of place. I leaned against the rock, watching Mia's stiff pose in the viewfinder, watching her try to arch her body backward for the shot, watching Ethan run back and forth in the cold wind, searching for angles, and suddenly felt a profound sense of absurdity. They had gone to all this trouble to come to this deadly mountaintop, chasing nothing more than a fake photoshopped image, a vain dream of fame. "Are you done? Is there lightning?" Mia jumped down from the rock, stomping her feet repeatedly from the cold, but still rushing to look at the camera. Ethan zoomed in on the photo for her. "Look at this one, the cloud background has a good feel, but there's no lightning." "No lightning? What's the point then?" Mia's face immediately fell. She snatched the camera, flipping through the pictures. "I want lightning, the kind that strikes the peak. What are you taking pictures of these silly clouds for?" "It's not something you can just conjure up," Ethan tried to explain. "Lightning is purely a matter of luck." "I don't care, I want lightning." Mia threw the camera on the ground. Fortunately, it had a strap around her neck, so it didn't break. It must be your poor photography skills. Let her take the pictures instead. She pointed at me, her tone urgent and angry. I slowly stood up, dusting myself off. I can't take them, you see for yourself. There's not even a single flash of lightning in the sky. Besides, even professional photographers can't capture it. What can an amateur like me do? You're doing this on purpose. Mia's eyes welled up with tears, whether from cold or anger, I couldn't tell. You knew all along that I wouldn't get the shot. That's why you didn't stop me from coming up, wanting to see me humiliated, right? I warned you. I looked into her eyes, speaking each word distinctly. I told you the photo was photoshopped. I told you metal conducts electricity. I told you the mountaintop was dangerous. You insisted on rushing into the lightning yourself. Shut up, Mia screamed, lunging to hit me, but Ethan pulled her back. Enough! Ethan's voice was laced with suppressed anger. He looked at the darkening sky, then at his sister-in-law throwing a tantrum, his face ashen. Yuan is right. We shouldn't have come here. Mia, stop making trouble. Let's go down the mountain quickly, or it's really going to rain. I'm not going. Mia shrugged off his hand, stepping back a few paces to stand in the middle of the observation deck, then turned to rummage through the suitcase. This outfit definitely isn't right. I'm changing into the metallic set. Doesn't lightning like to strike metal? If I wear this, it's sure to come. Ethan and I were both stunned by her words. Ethan's face turned pale. He rushed to stop her. Are you crazy? Metal conducts electricity. Wearing metallic clothes and standing on the peak, that's suicide. I don't care. I want to be famous. I want everyone to see me. Mia, like a mad beast, pushed Ethan away and began changing clothes. She hurriedly put on the shimmering silver metallic dress. The sharp spikes on the skirt snagged the delicate threads of the chiffon dress. She didn't even care, tearing the threads and pulling the dress up her body. The wind suddenly grew fierce, carrying large raindrops that stung our faces. A blinding white streak of light tore through the distant horizon. A few seconds later, a deep rumble of thunder echoed through the valley. Mia, come with me now. Ethan's voice trembled with worry. He reached out to pull her. Don't touch me. Mia pushed his hand away, pulling out a metal feather-shaped umbrella from the suitcase. Wait until I get this shot, then we can go. Look, the dark clouds are here, the lightning is coming. She opened the umbrella, its gleaming metal ribs shimmering with a cold light under the gloomy sky. Her entire body was like a metal target standing on the mountaintop. I stood behind the rock, watching this insane scene, my heart pounding in my chest. Not from fear, but from a delayed, chilling sense of triumph. In my previous life, I tried my best to pull her back, and in return, I died. In this life, I watched coldly, watching her take each step toward the fate she had chosen for herself. Ethan, aren't you going? I tugged on his sleeve. My waterproof jacket, with thermal underwear inside, was still warm, but he was soaked to the bone. The rain is about to get heavier. If we don't leave now, we won't be able to get down. Ethan looked at his sister-in-law posing in the rain, then at the continuous flashes of lightning in the distance, his lips trembling, unable to speak. He probably finally realized that the sister he had always indulged was beyond salvation. At that very moment, a dazzling white streak of light tore through the clouds, like a gigantic silver dragon plummeting toward the mountaintop. I could even see the path of the electricity dancing in the air. Careful, Ethan and I shouted in unison, but it was too late. Mia was still excitedly twirling her umbrella, even shouting, "Come on and strike me." The next second, the lightning bolt struck her umbrella with pinpoint accuracy. Crash, a loud explosion accompanied by a blinding white light. I instinctively squeezed my eyes shut, hearing only Mia's agonizing scream as she fell heavily to the ground. The thunder roared in my ears, the rain blurred my vision. I stood frozen, looking at Mia collapsed on the ground, a momentary feeling of panic. In my previous life, when I died in the cold ravine, was I also this pathetic? Was I also calling out to the heavens and the earth, unheard? Mia, Ethan's shout pulled me back to reality. He rushed forward frantically, kneeling in the rain, embracing his sister-in-law. Her shimmering silver dress was scorched black, Mia's hair emitted green smoke, and her face and hands were covered in festering burns. She was unconscious, only her faint breath proving she was still alive. What do we do now? What do we do now? Ethan held his sister-in-law, trembling in the rain, at a loss. Rainwater mixed with tears streamed down his face. Yuan, quickly, think of something. She's still breathing, we have to save her. I stood still, rainwater running coldly down my cheeks, but my heart was utterly calm. I pulled an energy bar from my backpack, tore open the wrapper, and popped it into my mouth. The sweetness spread over my tongue, giving my cold body a little strength. "What way?" I mumbled, chewing the energy bar. "There's no signal here, no doctors, and even the path down the mountain is about to be washed away by the rain. Are you expecting me to carry her down the mountain?" "How can you be so cold-blooded?" Ethan looked up, his bloodshot eyes staring at me. "She's your sister-in-law, my sister. Are you just going to stand there and watch her die?" I tried to stop her. I looked at him, saying each word distinctly. I told her the photo was photoshopped. I told her metal conducts electricity. I told her the mountaintop was dangerous. She was the one who deliberately ran into the lightning. You indulged her. Now that something has happened, who is to blame? Ethan was rendered speechless by my questions, his hands around his sister-in-law trembling slightly. Rainwater fell on Mia's scorched skin. She moaned in pain, a trickle of blood oozing from the corner of her mouth. "Call an ambulance, quickly!" Ethan pulled out his phone but found no signal bars. Just as he was about to dial the emergency number, a lightning bolt struck nearby, startling him. The phone slipped from his hand and slid down the mountainside. "It's best not to use a phone outdoors during a thunderstorm." I smiled, a smile that wasn't a smile, looking at him. "What are you smiling about? Your phone, call quickly. I left mine in the car." This was also true. I really hadn't brought my phone because I needed to be unable to contact the outside world. This was just part of my plan. "We have to go down the mountain and find help." Ethan looked at me as if clutching at a last straw. "Yuan, you're stronger. You go down the mountain and find help first. I'll stay here and look after her. Mia can't be without me. Go quickly." I smiled until tears almost came to my eyes. In my previous life, he was the same. He left me alone on the mountain, taking his sister down himself. In this life, he wanted to play the same trick again, asking me to brave the heavy rain and dangerous landslides to find help for his crazy sister. "Okay, I'll go, you wait." I put on my backpack, preparing to descend the mountain. I no longer needed the camera equipment. "Wait, hold on a minute. Do you have food in your bag? Leave some for me." Ethan called me back. I turned around, as if seeing this man clearly for the first time. In my previous life, it seemed he didn't intend to harm me, merely indulged his sister too much. But now, his true nature was revealed. "I need strength to go down the mountain. Shouldn't I be the one to eat the food?" I chuckled coldly, hugging my backpack tightly and stepping back a few paces. "What if I get hypothermia on the mountain? Don't you see I'm soaking wet already?" It turned out he understood everything. Seeing him about to snatch the backpack, I struggled. But how could I resist a man's strength? The backpack was in his hands. He took out a bottle of water and a packet of compressed biscuits, then looked at my clothes. I quickly hugged my jacket tightly. "My jacket won't fit you. If you don't even leave me a jacket, I won't be able to go get help. Let's just die on the mountain together." Ethan hesitated for a moment. He was over 1.8 meters tall, weighing almost 100 kilograms. I was only 1.6 meters tall, weighing 45 kilograms. My jacket was useless to him. At that moment, Mia's body stirred slightly, emitting a groan. He quickly rushed to her side. "Mia, I'm here, don't fall asleep." I quickly turned and headed down the mountain. Let these mad people stay on the mountain and be mad. The path down the mountain was even harder than the ascent. I didn't look back, taking quick, uneven steps down the mountain. Behind me, Ethan's desperate calls echoed, interspersed with Mia's weak groans and the incessant thunder. But those things could no longer shake my heart. I followed the path we came from, each step firm. The hand warmers in my backpack's compartment hadn't been searched. I had to save them for a crucial moment. The energy from the bar I ate earlier was also slowly radiating. I still had strength. I knew I had to get down the mountain quickly, find a safe place, and stay far away from Thunder God Mountain, which had buried me once before. The rain grew heavier, obstructing my vision. I almost fell several times, clinging tightly to the bushes beside me to keep my balance. Memories of my previous life flashed in my mind: the cold rain, the biting wind, the desperate cries for help, and the numbing sensation as my body slowly lost warmth. Those painful memories now transformed into the strength that kept me going. I don't know how long I walked. My calves started to cramp and my throat was parched. I leaned against a large tree to rest, pulled out a hand warmer from my backpack, tore it open, and stuck it to my waist and knees. The warmth gradually seeped in, dispelling some of the cold. In the distance, I faintly heard a car horn. I instantly became fully alert, knowing I was almost at the parking area halfway down the mountain. Once there, if I could find my way back, I could completely escape from those two siblings and start a new life. But I couldn't call for help. If rescuers came up the mountain too quickly, they would only survive. Wouldn't all my suffering have been in vain then? I bypassed the checkpoint, taking a different path. I estimated the hand warmers would be enough to sustain me for a few more hours. I saw an abandoned wooden house, like a ranger's cabin, and went in to shelter from the rain. I used outdoor survival techniques to build a small fire. Although I was uncomfortable, once my body temperature gradually recovered, the discomfort subsided. I dared not sleep that night. I stayed awake until morning before continuing my journey. At the foot of the mountain, I found a household. It was then I realized I had circled to the back of the mountain. Seeing them, I immediately started to cry. My sister-in-law was struck by lightning on the mountain. My husband told me to come down and get help. Please, quickly call 911 for me. I've been walking all night, I couldn't find my way, I'm about to die of worry. I cried tragically. The homeowner, a kind woman, wrapped me in a blanket. Your husband is truly useless. Such a mountain path, such weather, and he let you come down alone. I took a hot shower and drank hot chicken soup. Under the care of the homeowner, I waited for news from the rescue team that went up the mountain. A few hours later, the first team reached the summit. Ethan and Mia showed no signs of life. They said Ethan had tried his best. He had managed to move Mia under the eaves of the supply station and even lit a small fire, but for some unknown reason, they were struck by lightning again. They were burned to charcoal. Were these two punished by the heavens? What terrible deeds did they commit to be struck by the old sky god and turn to charcoal like this?